Fridays here because we're going to continue Atari 2600 Rare Games a month with a Qbert game, and that game is Qubert's Qubes. Let's go ahead and take Qubert's Qubes, pop it in my Atari 7800 Pro system, and see how it holds up today. Let's go to the game. Qubert's Qubes was published by Parker Brothers and carries a copyright year of 1984, meaning it came out around the same time as the great video game crash of the mid-80s. It is based on the somewhat obscure Mylstar Electronics arcade sequel to the original Qbert. Moby Games gives credit to Todd Marshall for programming the 2600 port. They also give him credit for working on Return of the Jedi Death Star battle for the 2600, which I reviewed in episode 394. I'll try to remember to put a link to that review in the description below. The manual opens with the following. Take several rows of suspended three-dimensional cubes. Drop onto them some very weird creatures in pursuit of a guy who loves to hop. And what have you got? One of the wackiest games you may ever play. And a most challenging one too. You may need to match 2 or even 3 rows of cubes in one round. And then there's always someone or something trying to stop you. Not to mention undo what you've already done. It's great fun too. When was the last time you met a Meltnick or a Shoebop? Qubert's Qubes. It's a video game of another dimension. Qubert's Qubes is an arcade puzzle style game for one player only. Your goal is to use Qbert to move cubes in order to match the target cube shown on the top left corner of the screen in rows of 4. At the beginning, you'll need to only complete one row to complete a round. The row can be straight up and down, straight across, or diagonal. But as you progress, you may need to complete multiple rows to move on. The number of rows you need to complete will flash in different possibilities before the round begins. The game contains 10 levels, with each level containing 4 rounds. The left difficulty switch controls your starting level. In the B position, you will start on level 6, but in the A position, you will start on the first level. This is the opposite of most Atari 2600 games, where typically being in the B position makes the game easier. For the controls, you use the joystick to move Qbert. The manual instructs the user to hold the joystick at an angle with the button at the top, meaning pressing up on the joystick makes you move diagonally up and to the right, and pressing directly down on the joystick actually moves you diagonally down to the left. To understand the game, you need to understand that all 6 sides of the cubes have different colors on them, and when you jump off of one, it will rotate 4 of the colors, keeping 2 sides the same, depending which way you jump off of the cube. How the rotation rotates also depends on which direction you jump off of the cube. So keeping that in mind and getting used to the pattern of colors on the cubes is crucial to progressing in the game, especially when you consider that you can only see 3 colors on a cube at any one time. When you get a cube to match the target cube, it will become a solid green and will stay locked that way in early levels, but later on it's possible for either Qbert or enemies to undo it. Naturally, you will face enemies throughout the game, some of which don't show up until later on. Meltnicks are your basic enemy. They come in different colors and are deadly to the touch, even the green ones. They will also melt into cubes that match their color on top. Purple balls also must be avoided and turn into rat-a-tat-tats. These rats will fall if they touch a cube that is in the middle of changing colors, so jumping off of a cube right before they touch one can help eliminate them. Sheldon the turtle will show up once in a while, and if you touch him, it will cause all the enemies on screen to move slower for a little bit of time. Catching the green ball will temporarily freeze all the enemies on screen. Green shoebops are annoying as they can change the colors of cubes, even undoing cubes that have already reached the target cube color. You can touch them to stop them. If you're like me, you can also lose a life by accidentally jumping off of a cube and falling into the abyss below. After every 4 rounds, you will go to a bonus round. There are no enemies in the bonus round. You simply stand on top of a cube using the joystick to shift the colors to match the target cube. If you match the colors, you move on to another cube automatically. You continue doing this until the round is over. Scoring-wise, you get 5 points for landing on a cube. You get 100 points for matching a cube to the target, catching a green ball, catching a shoebop, or catching Sheldon the turtle. When you eliminate rat-a-tat-tat in a single round, you get 500 points the first time, 400 the second, 300 the third, 200 the fourth, and 100 points the 5th time. And after that, only 5 points until the next round. At the end of a round, you get bonus points for every cube that matched the target cube. In level 1, you get 200 points per cube. In level 2, you get 225 points per cube, and that value keeps going up in 25-point increments up to level 10. In the bonus round, you get 100 points for the first cube that matches the target cube, and then an additional 100 points for every cube after that. You also get a bonus Qbert every 10,000 points. Graphically speaking, the game is a decent looking one, although I do wish the cubes used more solid colors rather than having black lines through them. The music and sounds are also slightly above average. Family friendly wise, the game would most likely get an E for everyone rating if released today. Currently at pricecharting.com, the game has a value of $122 loose, $443 complete, and $664 new. Wow. So what do I think of Qbert's Qubes for the Atari 2600? At first, I didn't like the game at all. The original Qbert was pretty easy to get into, but this one takes some time. Simply understanding how the game is played and how the cube mechanics work took me a while to really grasp. Those corner cubes in particular can be difficult to easily move into the target cube color set. But as I got used to the game, I began to appreciate it. You could almost view this game as a thinking man's Qbert, and the more I appreciated the game, the more I enjoyed playing it. It was going from a game that I could never recommend to one that I could recommend to gamers wanting a Qbert game that requires more thought. I won't say it's worth the current price, but simply as a game, I recommend you give it a try if it at all sounds appealing to you and you have the chance to play it. So where am I going to rank Qbert's Qubes? It's going to be really close to the last Atari 2600 game I reviewed, Snoopy and the Red Baron, at the 141 position. And while Snoopy is fun and much easier to pick up and play, Qbert's Qubes gets the edge for having more depth and a challenge. So the 244 games that now rank for the Atari 2600, Qbert's Qubes is hopping into the 141 position. Qbert's Qubes doesn't surpass the original, has quite a learning curve, and isn't for everyone, but once I got used to it, I actually kinda liked it. But that's just my opinion. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Also, please like, share, and subscribe. Follow me both on the Facebook and the Twitter, and click the bell so you don't miss any future videos. At this time, I'd like to thank Audrey S., David F., and Jacob N. for their generous support on Patreon and for nominating today's game. If you think these videos give you at least $1 per month of information and entertainment, please consider joining my supporters at patreon.com/nosweargamer. Not only will you help keep the show going, but you may also get a chance to nominate and vote on games for me to review. Thank you for giving me a little part of your day, and I look forward to seeing you next time on the next episode of the No Swear Gamer. Take care, especially when rotating cubes with your feet.